جی جی
مجھے خوشی ہوئی ہے آپ سے ملاقات کرنے کی. آپ ہمارے اسلامی جمہوریہ پاکستان کے وزیر قانون ہیں. پاکستان 64 سال سے اسلامی جمہوریہ پاکستان ہے. آپ نے عہد غلامی جو ہے برٹش راج اس کے سپریم کورٹ سے اس کے قانونوں کو ختم کرنے کے لیے آپ نے اب تک ایز اے سینیٹر اور ایز اے وزیر قانون کیا اقدامات کیے ہیں اسلامی قوانین اور اسلامی شریعت کورس کو امپلیمنٹ پاور دینے کے لیے؟
اس کے بارے میں آپ کو بتاتا چلوں 1985 کے اندر اس کے اوپر کام ہوا تھا. کونسل آف اسلامک آئیڈیالوجی نے کام کیا تھا اور ایویڈنس سیٹ کنورٹ ہو گیا تھا قانون شہادت آرڈر, اور تمام قوانین کو بھی دیکھا گیا تھا کہ آئیدر دے آر ریپگننٹ ٹو اسلامک پروویژن اور ناٹ, اور جو تھے انہوں نے ختم کیے اس زمانے میں, اور باقی قوانین کو یہ کہا گیا تھا کہ دے آر ناٹ ریپگننٹ ٹو اسلام. باقی پاکستان کے اندر جیسے کہ آپ کو علم ہے شرع کے قانون ہیں. اگر آپ دیکھیں پرسنل قانون ہے طلاق کے اوپر, انہیریٹنس کے اوپر, شادی بیاہ کے اوپر, وقف کے اوپر, اور آپ اس کے علاوہ وہ بھی قوانین آئے جس کو ہم کہتے ہیں کہ شرع کے جو قوانین ہیں مرڈر کے اوپر, ریپ کے اوپر, ایڈلٹری کے اوپر, ڈیوائٹی کے اوپر, ان سب کے اوپر حد کے قانون ہیں کہ جو کہ قرآن کے اندر بھی ہیں اور عالمی جو کہ نافذ کیے گئے ہیں. جہاں سے ڈسولوشن آف مسلم میرج ایکٹ ہے 1939 کا وہ چل رہا ہے, کیونکہ اسلام کے اندر اجماع اور اجتہاد کی اجازت ہے اور اس کے مطابق قوانین ایسے بننے چاہیے جو شرع کے خلاف نہ ہو. سوات کے اندر آپ کو پتہ ہے سوات کے اندر 2008 کے اندر کیا کہتے ہیں اپنا نظام ریگولیشن بنائے گئے. آرٹیکل نظام ریگولیشن ہے. ہمارے پاس فیڈرل شریعت کورٹ ہے جس کے اندر کے کیسز جاتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ سپریم کورٹ کے اندر بھی شریعت بینچ ہے, اور اگر کوئی قانون آرٹیکل 203 کے اندر جو کہ فیڈرل شریعت کورٹ کے بارے میں اگر کوئی قانون اسلام کے خلاف ہے تو آپ پٹیشن فائل کر سکتے ہیں اس کے مطابق, اور تمام اجازت ہے.
Sir, I would like to.
Could you just bear with me? We're just taking this in turn. Just have a seat and we'll come to you.
Okay.
Mr. Minister,
Yes, please.
it's a question of intellectual integrity with a touch of historicity, although the sponsors are trying to inhibit me
No, please.
and gag me.
Nobody can get it.
In England, gagland cannot be introduced.
In Pakistan also Article 19 of
Yeah.
the Constitution, freedom of expression.
And also in America, the First Amendment
Yes.
and the Constitution
I am
doesn't.
cognizant of this fact.
Would you, Excellency, bear with me with full intellectual honesty, which was the immediate liberator of Pakistan from the shackles of totalitarian dictatorship of Musharraf? Didn't judicial activism, which is being condemned today indirectly or subtly or directly or whatever directions, wasn't it the immediate cause for the burial of totalitarian military dictatorship of Pakistan in Pakistan? This is my question. Please answer it with full intellect. My name is Amanullah Khan. I'm one of the founding fathers of Pakistan People's Party and a close comrade in arms, Ali Bhutto Shahid,
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
and a journalist, writer, analyst.
See, there were many factors which were responsible for the ouster of General Musharraf. One of the main factors was the struggle of the people against dictatorship. There was Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, who gave her life for democracy. There was our President, Mr. Asif Ali Zardari, who languished in jail for 10 years. There were common men who gave their lives. There were common men who were injured. There were common men who were incarcerated. And there was judiciary also, which played a very positive role in finishing dictatorship. Judiciary, no doubt, in the past has always supported dictatorship and given judgments in their favor. That this was the Supreme Court which gave power to General Musharraf to amend the Constitution. Nobody can amend the Constitution. Sir, Article 239 of the Constitution based on the procedure. Only Parliament can amend the Constitution. But this is the Supreme Court which gave the power to the Revolution to amend the Constitution. Again, the lawyers came to the street. They contributed. So we cannot say that the contribution was of one person for bringing democracy back to Pakistan.
And you forgot your people also died for the cause.
I said people take their lives, they were incarcerated.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, I appreciate the laudatory words you said about Pakistanis living in Britain, and that is much appreciated. Their contribution towards the economy and development of Pakistan is recognized. Do you think it is fair that these dual nationals should not be allowed representation in Pakistan? And shouldn't Parliament enact laws that allows them representation to represent Pakistanis? Thank you.
Is it, can I have some glass of water? It's really warm now. I'll answer this question. So, as far as the dual nationality is concerned, there is a Citizenship Act 1951. Citizenship Act 1951 lays down, Section 14, if I correctly recall, that the dual nationality is not allowed. But the government made a notification allowed dual nationality, having arrangements with different countries. At present, Pakistan has dual nationality arrangements with 16 countries, which include United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Australia, Belgium, Sweden, Syria, Egypt, and a few more. Now, this means a person can have a dual nationality if allowed so by the government of Pakistan. And United Kingdom is one of them. They have a right to vote. They have a right to vote, but there is a snag. The snag is the procedure has not been laid down, which should, I agree with you on that count, it should be laid down, the procedure for ballot voting by the dual nationals who are living outside Pakistan. And arrangements should be made, laws should be made, and I'm taking note of it, inshallah, God willing, we will make such laws. Once I go back, it will be one of the main things I will do that. Now, as far as contesting the elections are concerned, the second part is contesting the elections, or getting elected. Article 63, Clause 1C of the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, 1973, lays down that a person cannot be elected, chosen, or continue to be a member of the parliament if he ceases to be a citizen of Pakistan or acquires a nationality of a foreign state. Now this is the embargo which has been created by the Constitution. Now until a constitutional amendment is brought in under Article 239 of the Constitution, only then the dual nationality persons will be able to contest the election. Now the word which has been used is acquire. Now the barristers and lawyers are sitting over here. My interpretation is, I may be wrong. Acquire is acquisition. If you are born in England or in a place where the dual nationality is allowed, then you are not, there is no embargo upon a person who is born in a country where the dual nationality is required. But if he is acquired, that is through immigration, then the embargo comes in. But again, this is for the, if a case would happen, again it's a case where the superior court will interpret what is the right interpretation of the word acquire. At the present, maybe some people sitting over here would agree with me and some would not agree with me, and this is what the law is telling, that acquire means acquisition and not a person who is a born citizen of a foreign state.
With respect, two more questions, please. The first will be this lady for the one after the yellow one. So I'll ask you to be seated, please. There are two more questions. So that's it.
I'm Minister Shasya Anja, and we welcome, first of all, we welcome you here in the London among the lawyer community. And वादिश शाह साहब हमारे यहाँ पर बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं सारे कम्युनिटीज को गेट टुगेदर करने के लिए. तो लेकिन यहाँ पर जो मैं बात करना चाहूँगी, in the beginning of one of my colleague's speech, he said कि जुडिशरी से हमने पूछा कि जुडिशरी एक्टिविज्म क्या है. उन्होंने आगे से जो उसकी डेफिनेशन बताई, उन्होंने ये कहा कि जो एक्टिव जुडिशरी होती है उसको जुडिशरी एक्टिविज्म कहा जाता है. लेकिन मेरा प्रश्न यहाँ पर है कि does government know the definition of democracy? जब भी उनसे डेमोक्रेसी की डेफिनेशन पूछी जाती है तो वो मिक्स और कंफ्यूज करते हैं गवर्नमेंट को और डेमोक्रेसी को. वो समझते हैं कि کہ گورنمنٹ کا ایگزسٹنس میں رہنا ہی ڈیموکریسی ہے, جبکہ آپ نے بھی جس وقت شروع میں ڈیفینیشن کی سوچے کا گورنمنٹ بائی دا پیپل, آپ کہنا بھول گئے کہ گورنمنٹ فار دا پیپل. سیکنڈ ٹائم آپ نے ڈیفینیشن کی, سیکنڈ ٹائم جب آپ نے ڈیفینیشن کی تو تب آپ نے کمپلیٹ ڈیفینیشن کی. یہاں پر ہم یہ کہنا چاہتے ہیں کہ جب انسٹیٹیوشن آپس میں لڑتے رہیں گے, اپنا ٹائم ضائع کرتے رہیں گے, تو پبلک ادھر جائے گی. اگر فار دا پیپل آپ لوگ ریپرزینٹ کرنے کے لیے ان کو آئے ہیں, تو کیا آپ کا فرض نہیں بنتا کہ پاکستان کو ایک ویلفیئر اسٹیٹ بنائیں, پاکستان کو انٹرنیشنل سطح پر وہ مقام دیں جو اس کا مقام بنتا ہے. پاکستان از ون آف دا موسٹ امپورٹنٹ اسٹیٹ ان دا ورلڈ, لیکن ہمارے کرپٹ سیاستدانوں کی وجہ سے پاکستان آج وہاں پر ہے کہ جہاں پر عوام کو نہ بجلی مل رہی ہے, نہ ان کو امپلائمنٹ مل رہی ہے. اگر ایک انصاف مل رہا ہے, ایکسکیوز می, اگر ایک انصاف مل رہا ہے اور ہمارا جو جوڈیشری ادارہ ہے اس کو یہاں پر انٹرنیشنلی ایوارڈ بھی دیا گیا ہے, تو میں سمجھتی ہوں کہ ہمیں اس چیز کو اپریشیٹ کرنا چاہیے کہ جوڈیشری ایکٹیویزم از ڈوئنگ ویری ویل. تھینک یو.
آپ کا سوال کیا تھا؟
انگلش سوال کیا, وہ بھی جواب دیا.
So we've just got one last question. That's we answered after the gentleman here. There will be no more questions after this, I'm afraid. Yeah, I do apologize.
I think there are two more questions.
مجھے ابھی پتہ چلا کہ آپ لائر بھی ہیں اور probably barrister بھی ہیں, مجھے نہیں پتا. So who knows better than me if conviction how as lawgiver of a convicted prime minister, and do you feel like morally you should continue working as a law minister for a convicted prime minister? Number two, recently جو اسلام چودھری اور ملک ریاض کا جو سین چلا ہے, مجھے نہیں پتا کہ اسلام چودھری نے کیا کیا, لیکن ملک ریاض someone who is proudly media پہ آ کے کہہ رہے ہیں کہ I try to bribe the highest judiciary in a country. Where is the government? کیا bribery پاکستان میں crime نہیں ہے؟ 5 دنوں سے آپ لوگ ایکٹیو کیوں نہیں ہیں? Why you are not sort of filing charges against this man? مجھے نہیں پتا کہ اگلے بندے نے پیسے لیے یا نہیں لیے, but what right he has to even try to, تو آپ اس کو پکڑتے کیوں نہیں تھے؟
ایک بات سنیں پہلے, جہاں تک حسنان چودھری صاحب کا کیس ہے اور ملک ریاض کا, the Supreme Court has taken notice of it. Supreme Court نے application کی جا رہی ہے جو ہے for forming a larger bank. Let us wait who is right and who is wrong. The matter is sub judice. I don't want to blame anyone right now. Let us wait the verdict of the Supreme Court, which is the apex court of the country. As far as Prime Minister Saab is concerned, he has not been convicted for any moral turpitude. He has not been convicted for any corruption. The case was whether he had followed the order of the Supreme Court or not. He does not stand disqualified under Article 63, Clause 1, G or H of the Constitution. He is still a member of the National Assembly. Recently, judges were appointed on his advice. This means the judiciary also accepts him as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Otherwise, his advice would not have gone for the purpose of making the judges of the country. So let us not divide our own country and our own country.
Can I ask a question?
One minute, there was a queue there. So if you don't mind, there was a queue there.
Let me introduce myself. I am a solicitor here and an advocate of the Supreme Court of Pakistan, and I was former legislative advisor also to the government of Pakistan during Musharraf regime, and then I resigned.
Oh my God.
During the lawyers movement, I resigned from that position. And I am an alumni also of the Center of American International Law, from where you have also studied in 2001. My question is that this, the whole debate is being confused by saying that it is something as judicial activism versus judicial restraint, while this is not so. If you look at the development of the English law here, you will see that you look at the administrative law development. My question is that the judiciary has always tried to check the executive excesses, and this is exactly what the judiciary in Pakistan is right now doing. We can't push it back by saying that it's something as judicial activism. It isn't. It is just simply saying to the executive that act in accordance with the law. This is what the judiciary in Pakistan, the Supreme Court of Pakistan, is right now saying to the executive, act in accordance with the law. You see, and we can't say that it is something as, we are confusing the debate by saying that it is
Thank you. Any other question? Question
सर एक चीज़ मैंने बात ये करनी है कि हम जर्नलिस्ट यहाँ पे 8-10 बैठे हुए हैं, क्या आप पसंद फरमाएंगे हमारे सवालों के जवाब देना या नहीं? अगर क्योंकि इनका प्राइवेट फंक्शन है, अगर आप पसंद करते हैं तो हम भी क्वेश्चन करें, अगर आप नहीं चाहते तो फिर हम क्वेश्चन नहीं करें। जी इसी के बारे में जी राइट। आप पहले ये
Your Excellency, towards the end of your speech, you warned that the judiciary should strike a fine balance. I didn't quite grasp where the balance was laid. For example, if Parliament were to pass a repugnant law, would the judiciary exercise authority by striking the law? And if they did strike out the law, would that be excessive activism?
See, judicial activism in certain areas where the wrong thing is being done is good. But it should not become judicial excessivism. When it becomes judicial excessivism and the trajectory of power is being finished, then the balance and equilibrium can get finished. Because executive has got its own role, the judiciary has got its own role, and the legislature has got its own role. Unless we respect the theory of separation of powers, which is ingrained in our constitution too, there can be a situation where the government cannot run in a smooth manner.
So where Parliament passes a repugnant law, the judiciary would not...
Yes, if it is a law repugnant to the fundamental rights, definitely Article 199 of the Constitution, which talks about the rights of certiorari's, which is writ of mandamus, and they can come into play. But there has got to be a judicial restraint also along with judicial activism. This is the balance, this is the equilibrium. Because happiness lies in the middle, not in extremes. Thank you.
I've got a question, please. You speak about the separation of powers, and you're absolutely right to refer to it as a celebration in the course of celebration. But there becomes a point in time, I'm sure we'll all agree, that a separation of powers becomes something closer to a vacuum than a menacing vacuum. And I refer to, certainly from the way that matters are reported from the United Kingdom, the vacuum that exists between the army and the government at the moment in the current state of Pakistan. My question, and I'm going to discipline myself and actually ask a question, is this: to what extent is the judiciary tasked or obliged to act in the capacity of arbitrator in order to try and resolve and defray whatever tension exists currently between the two warring sides? And they do frankly appear and characterise as warring sides from the press in the United Kingdom. So that's my question, is to what extent do you take an obligation to try and arbitrate between the two?
See, if this is a case of public importance, and when the public at large is getting affected, and the relief is not being given by the government, then the apex court, the Supreme Court, interferes, and they have got a right to interfere for the good of the people. But they have got to draw a line. Every case cannot become a case of public importance. It is there the paramount factor in order to exercise the judicial activism or the powers as prescribed by the Constitution of Pakistan under Article 184 Clause 3 is that it has got to be a violation of fundamental rights. When there is a violation of fundamental rights, then the Supreme Court can take action, but it has got to be a case of public importance. ये करेंगे आप? जी जरूर। सर्वर साहब करेंगे।
Thank you very much. मैं सर मोस्ट वेलकम टू लंदन। मेरे दो सवालात हैं जिसकी वजह से मुझे काफ़ी कंफ्यूजन भी है, and I think these questions are also related to the audience at the moment. And I try to get the answer of these two constitutional questions from the Chief Justice, if Jawad Chaudhary Sahab and he was here, but he declined. Yes, he declined because he says that this is just a, Bharat. मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये है कि पाकिस्तान has every sort of laws to tackle the situation in Pakistan, whether it belongs to social evils, criminal evils. But unfortunately, this is the Supreme Court which has come out in every field, and the Chief Justice and other judges are taking so many actions, leaving behind your ministry, leaving behind your laws. So what is the reason that in presence of every law, Ministry of Law is there, but Supreme Court has to take summatory actions in every matter, whether it is rape case, it is an acid attacks case, it is a murder, whatever you can name it, and Supreme Court is bound, has taken summatory actions. What is the reason? One of them. The second question.
पहले एक सवाल में तो मैं समझता हूँ कि चीफ जस्टिस इफ्तिखार मोहम्मद चौधरी साहब को जवाब देना चाहिए था, क्योंकि एक्शन तो वो ले रहे हैं ना, गवर्नमेंट तो नहीं ले रही। अगर गवर्नमेंट कोई एक्शन ले तो गवर्नमेंट जवाब देगी। जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे एक्शन लेती है तो कोई रीजन होगा। तो ये सवाल मैं समझता हूँ उनको ज्यादा करना है जवाब देने।
नहीं, मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि आप लॉ मिनिस्टर हैं, आपकी मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन है, इंटीरियर मिनिस्टर भी उसके जिम्मेदार हैं, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में जो लॉलेसनेस है इस वक्त, उससे बाहर पाकिस्तान का, पाकिस्तानियों का इमेज इज डैमेज।
लेकिन ये बात ये है कि जहाँ तक लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का सिचुएशन है, उसकी रीजंस भी, उसकी रीजन अफगानिस्तान के अंदर जो जंग चल रही है और उसका स्पिल ओवर पाकिस्तान है। पाकिस्तान इज द बिगेस्ट विक्टिम ऑफ टेररिज्म। पाकिस्तान हैज लॉस्ट thousands of brave army personnel. Pakistan has lost thousands of innocent civilians. Our economy is affected. What money we should spend upon education and health in the social sector, we are spending on war on terrorism. And every person, every citizen of Pakistan is directly or indirectly affected by this war on terrorism. आप देखिए रोड ब्लॉक्स आ गए हैं, militants जो हैं, who are in the name of religion and under the cloak of religion are creating all this situation. मस्जिदों के अंदर कत्ल होते हैं, धमाके होते हैं, फ्यूनरल्स के अंदर धमाके होते हैं। वो वजह क्या है? वजह ये अफगानिस्तान की वॉर स्पिल ओवर हो गई है। We are the host to the largest number of refugees in the world. रवांडा से ज्यादा रेफ्यूजी पाकिस्तान के अंदर है। और ये सारी चीजें जो हैं, इसकी वजह से पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमी, पाकिस्तान की लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन इफेक्ट हो रही है। हम पूरी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि इन चीज़ों को कंट्रोल किया जाए, मगर ये ऐसी चीज़ है कि एक दिन में कंट्रोल नहीं हो सकती। तमाम लोगों की, तमाम शहरियों की जब तक पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं होगी, और क्रिटिसिज्म फॉर द सेक ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म से कोई फायदा नहीं। अगर आप खाली क्रिटिसाइज ही करते रहेंगे तो वर्ल्ड जो है, दुनिया कहाँ आपके साथ चलेगी? अगर आप खुद अपने आप को हर वक्त मलामत करते रहेंगे तो मैं समझता हूँ कि मुल्क तरक्की नहीं कर सकता। हमको मिलजुल कर अपने मुल्क की बका के लिए, मुल्क की बेहतरी के लिए, मुल्क के अंदर जमहूरियत की क्या कहते हैं एक रवा पे चले। तो जब तक ये नहीं होगा, ये एक शख्स के ऊपर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है, ये हर शहरी के ऊपर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, हर पाकिस्तानी पर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान में रहता हो चाहे पाकिस्तान के बाहर रहता हो। जो गलती है बिल्कुल उनको ठीक करनी है, जो कोताही है उनको बिल्कुल ठीक करनी है और करनी चाहिए, और उनकी निशानदही आप जरूर करें। ये एक अच्छा जो प्रेस है वो निशानदही करता है गलतियों की तरफ, और हुकूमत का काम है उन गलतियों को ठीक करें।
सही है।
और साहब मेरा दूसरा सवाल जो है वो इससे भी ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट था, जो मैं मालूम कर रहा हूँ आपको, और मेरी बड़ी कोशिश थी कि मैं चीफ जस्टिस साहब से इसको पूछूँ। आप मुझे ये बताएं, आप लॉ मिनिस्टर हैं, पाकिस्तान में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इम्पोर्टेंट है, सुप्रीम है, या सुप्रीम कोर्ट इम्पोर्टेंट है? ये सवाल है। इसका रेफरेंस ये है कि कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट में जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर गिलानी के खिलाफ हुआ फैसला हुआ, वो बेसिकली एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल था। जब आपको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को ऑब्लाइज करना है, उस पर अमल करना है, तो उसकी हर शिक पे और हर क्लॉज पे आपको अमल करना है। ठीक, जब प्रेसिडेंट को कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के तहत इम्यूनिटी हासिल थी तो ये सिरे से कोई मुकदमा बनता ही नहीं था, और आपने पूरे पाकिस्तान को बदनाम किया। तो मेरा सवाल आपसे ये है कि पाकिस्तान में क्या आइंदा भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से बालातर होके अदलिया फैसले करते रहेगी, ये जुडिशियल एक्टिविज्म है या नहीं?
एज अ मुसलमान मैं ये कहूँगा कि सबसे बड़ी किताब कुरान मजीद है, कुरान शरीफ, और पाकिस्तान के अंदर आइन जो है वो सबसे सुप्रीम है कुरान मजीद के बाद। सुप्रीम कोर्ट is an outcome of the Constitution. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एक चैप्टर है जुडिकेचर के ऊपर, जिसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी आता है, और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की पैदावार है, कैबिनेट सुप्रीम कोर्ट की पैदावार है, लेजिस्लेचर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की पैदावार है, कैबिनेट जिसको हम गवर्नमेंट कहते हैं, जुडिकेचर आइन की पैदावार है, लेजिस्लेचर आइन की पैदावार है, आर्मी का भी एक रोल है, डिफाइन किया गया है। तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर पाकिस्तान आफ्टर कुरान शरीफ। ठीक है, थैंक यू।
अगर सर मैं नो प्रॉब्लम, मैं अहमद अली सैयद हूँ जी, एयर वाइस से मेरा तल्लुक है। अपने क्वेश्चन से पहले छोटा सा वाक़या आपको सुनाता हूँ। जनरल ज़ियाउल हक के वक्त जब वो प्रेसिडेंट थे तो हमारा एक सीनियर वज़ीर अफ़गानिस्तान के दौरे पे गया। तो जब वहाँ पे सदर अपने कैबिनेट से उन्हें मिला रहा था तो उसने एक बताया कि ये मेरा वज़ीर रेलवे का है। तो उसने कहा कि हैरान होके कि क्या आपके मुल्क में रेलवे है ही नहीं है, तो ये मिनिस्टर कैसे आ गया? तो उन्होंने जवाब दिया कि आपके मुल्क में भी वज़ीर कानून होता है। अब सवाल मेरा ये है सर, आपने डायकोटमी ऑफ पावर का भी अपने जिक्र किया, अभी इनके सरवर साहब के सवाल के जवाब भी बहुत ही अच्छा आपने दिया। अगर पाकिस्तान में आइन और कानून की हुक्मरानी है तो क्या ये तीन जो हमारे बड़े इदारे हैं उनके दरमियान जो इतना खिंचाव है, वो इतना तनाव है जिसने लोगों के लिए भी इंतहाई मसाइल पैदा किए हुए हैं, और अगर आइन और कानून की प्रैक्टिस में है तो क्या ये ख़त्म नहीं होती? और इसके ख़त्म करने के लिए जो वज़ीर आज़म साहब से भी मैंने सवाल किया था, तो ये आप क्या समझते हैं कि ये कैसे ख़त्म होगा?
देखिए सर, बात ये है, आज मुल्क में जमहूरियत है। जमहूरियत क्या है? जमहूरियत किसी चिड़िया का नाम नहीं। जमहूरियत इज लाइक अ चाइल्ड, डेमोक्रेसी इज लाइक अ चाइल्ड, इट क्रॉल्स, इट वॉक्स एंड इट रन्स। जिस मुल्क में इस पर आप बैठे हुए हैं, इधर जमहूरियत दौड़ रही है। यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में मुल्क जमहूरियत दौड़ रही है। हमारे मुल्क में बदनसीबी से, बदकिस्मती से माशाल्लाह आते रहे हैं। जमहूरियत को क्रॉलिंग स्टेज कह लें, उस तरह जाके दफन कर दिया गया। फिर माशाल्लाह खत्म आया, फिर जमहूरियत आई, फिर माशाल्लाह आया, फिर जमहूरियत आई। अब 4 साल से इस मुल्क में जमहूरियत है और इंशाल्लाह ताला मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि बिल्कुल रहेगी। और इन सब को हमको एक फेज से गुजरना पड़ेगा और हम गुजर रहे हैं। Rome was not built in a day. यूनाइटेड किंगडम यूके में डेमोक्रेसी नहीं है। आपको पता है इधर तो पहले only the gentry and the landed class had the right to vote. And if I do recall, ये तो फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद क्या कहते हैं, everybody had the right to vote, और औरतों को तो राइट ऑफ वोट मेरा ख्याल 1929 में मिला। देखिए आप ये सारी चीजें नजर में रखें कि हर चीज एक दिन में नहीं होती। हम भी उसी स्टेज से गुजर रहे हैं। अमेरिकन फॉट अ सिविल वॉर, अब्राहम लिंकन फॉट अ सिविल वॉर, उधर भी ये गुजर रहे हैं। इंशाल्लाह ताला हम क्या कहते हैं, वी आर डेवलपिंग डेमोक्रेसी, और अल्लाह ताला ने चाहा तो वी विल इंशाल्लाह ताला वन डे हमारे मुल्क में ऐसे जमहूरियत होगी जैसे कि यूनाइटेड किंगडम में, मगर इसके लिए हम सबको मिलकर मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी। एक इंडिविजुअल से काम नहीं चलेगा, मिलकर मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी और खामियों की तरफ, गलतियों की तरफ निशानदेही जरूर करें, और अगर रिमूव ना हो तो आप बार-बार बताएं, मगर इसके लिए खाली क्रिटिसिज्म नहीं है, सजेशन भी है, भाई ये गलती है तो इस तरह ठीक करें। खाली क्रिटिसिज्म करने से फायदा नहीं होगा। थैंक यू बहुत।
Thank you very much for enlightening us with your views. I will just interpret the last word which he has expressed, that Rome was not built in one day. It took a very long time, and Pakistan is going through the same phase at the moment. We will have to go through and pass through this process. What we are witnessing in Pakistan, the United States experienced that in 1803 when the historical case Marbury versus Madison was delivered by John Marshall, and I will just explain one phase of that judgment. And it was written that judiciary can exercise their power of judicial review whenever legislature and executive have done something wrong, and they can intervene to get rid of any unfairness. And similar things are happening in Pakistan at the moment. So we are going through the development phase. In order to close this discussion, I would like His Excellency Wali Shamsul Hasan to come on the dais and say a few words, and then we will proceed towards the
अच्छा प्रोग्राम।
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure for me to welcome Law Minister, Mr. Farooq Naik, and all of you, of course, who have taken time out of your busy office schedule and to be here this evening to listen to the Law Minister on judicial activism and democracy. Well, his speech was very enlightening, and some of the questions I really couldn't understand because there were more of his speeches than questions. And I can understand because lawyers are usually paid for talking more than listening less. Mr. Farooq Naik has explained to you what judicial activism and what is happening in Pakistan, or what is taking place in the country, which is really a difficult situation. But again, one should not try to undermine democracy that we have. Democracy doesn't come of age overnight. It takes years and years and centuries to be what you have seen here. But regretfully, I feel as a High Commissioner as well, I've been living here for almost 17 years, there's some of the people living here who have lived in democracy, who have cast vote in the local elections and the parliamentary elections, they are critical of Pakistani democracy. They forget that what Churchill has said, that the answer to bad democracy is more democracy, which Law Minister said that the child, it crawls, it later on runs, and then it jumps. That's all. It's like that. But again, I think the dinner is waiting for you. Let me end this vote of thanks for you with I was watching a TV program, Pakistani TV program. Of course, they are very fond of giving dates of demise of the democratic government. I think I've heard them 100 times, the media anchors saying the government is going today, tomorrow, after. And one day the Prime Minister had to say on the floor of the House that please give me a deadline when I'm going. And if I don't go after that deadline, then stop talking about these deadlines. And of course, this concluded the argument, and since then nobody has given a date. The other thing that I must mention to you, and you know everybody seems to be very critical of politicians, not judiciary, not army, not your own media community. I heard this comment from an anchor who read out an SMS message on television. He said, I've just received an SMS message which says that if you insult the court, if you commit a contempt of court, and if you belittle the court or judiciary, you are accused of contempt of court and sentenced. If you abuse the army, you commit an act of treason. If you criticize the media, you are threatening the freedom of expression. But the only thing that you can criticize and get away is abusing it as well, is the politician community of politicians. That is what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, this evening was meant for you to have a free exchange of views with our Law Minister, who is a very learned person. Unfortunately, I didn't see much of questions related to law or judicial activism. My colleague Amanullah Khan, as usual, was shouting best. And Sarwar again asked you a few questions that were not relevant to what you were supposed to talk. But I would insist that we should try to formulate our views in a manner that we could serve democracy. Because if we can survive with democracy, we can survive as a country. Otherwise, there is going to be a disaster. With these words, I thank you, Mr. Minister, for having given us time, for having given France colleagues time to be here and spoken to our community. I'm sure they will think about it, what they have been thinking about Pakistan, what perception they have carried about Pakistan, what perception they believe about Pakistan. Pakistan is not a perception, it is a reality. It has to be developed as envisioned by Qaeda-Azam of Jinnah, a democratic country where every citizen will have equal rights, where sovereignty of the parliament was to be the supreme and nothing else. He believed that even the armed forces, judiciary and the bureaucracy was subservient to the will of the parliament. And I remember reading a judgment of Federal Chief Justice Warren of the United States, in which he said that the representatives of the people are the final and sole arbiters of a power in a country. And we must that. We must not undermine the institution of parliament, because there is a so-called clash of institutions. There is no clash of institutions. We are in a defining movement. We have established the sovereignty of parliament. President voluntarily gave away his powers. Prime Minister has made parliament so strong that he has taken every issue to the parliament. Prime Minister took this NATO attack issue to the parliament. He took the issue of occupation by the Taliban in Swat. He got the sanction from the parliament to send army there. And every issue has been taken to the parliament for support of the people. Because without the support of the people, you cannot achieve anything. And that is what democracy is. If you cannot have democracy, I think we'll be living in a fool's paradise. Thank you very much.